All right. So, what's up, heathens? How y'all doing? Tonight we're going to be remembering Bill Ludlow. I have a lot of people here that he affected and he really touched, and a lot of personal friends, everything like that. We're going to be getting to everybody here soon. Now, Bill, he's stood up for me a good bit in the past, and it was really heartbreaking to hear him go. In case you don't know, Bill died Sunday of stomach cancer, and it's a great loss to the community and to the world in general. I hate that we lost him like that. Nobody really knew what he was dealing with until just a few days ago, and it kind of happened fast. And so I wanted to put together something for a lot of people to come together. Everybody that he's touched in the past, and for all of us to kind of remember Bill, what he's done for us, and the friendship and all the experiences that have been had. And so that's the main purpose here tonight. If you guys would like to, Bill's family has set up a GoFundMe to help with memorial and final expenses and stuff like that. The link is in the description if you want to go and help them out there. I've already donated, and I hope that people will too. So we're going to be getting to the other people, but first, Jackson Wheat couldn't be here, and he recorded a short thing tonight for us to look over, and so I'm gonna get that pulled up really quick, so that because he couldn't make it, but he was able to get something put together.
Hello, I'm Jackson Wheat.
There we go.
Hello, I'm Jackson Wheat. I first heard about Bill Ludlow just over 2 years ago when he debated Kent Hovind, and right from the beginning, I knew Bill was a brilliant man. His love of geology and anthropology were infectious, and he channeled that love into a fantastic teaching tool in his YouTube videos. I'm proud to say he considered me a friend, and I him. We talked both on and off screen, but despite what we know now, he always seemed in a cheerful mood. He was resolute to the very end. I'm proud that I had the opportunity to know such a great man. Bill will be missed.
Sorry, they couldn't hear me. I was talking and everything. So I don't know who wants to go first, but anybody that wants to go first, it looks like Dragnot's unmuted. So Dragnaut, do you want to start us off?
Oh, I was just unmuting to laugh at you, but
Oh,
like
okay.
I don't think people really understand what it means to be a science communicator. I think that people hear volunteer and they think, well, someone who is typically unskilled, they're just filling in a role that is allotted for them. But I've actually tried to be a science communicator and in a museum no less, and try to explain exactly what it is that Bell excelled at. And let me tell you, it is much more difficult than people think. It is incredibly difficult to field questions that people may have, because you don't really know their knowledge. You have to have the ability, right, to articulate a certain knowledge set, and you have to be able to do it in an entertaining way. And if you've ever listen to Bill, even if it's on his creation and science fiction Facebook page, or on his show where he was interviewing, ex younger creationists. Bill had a presence about him that was very strong, but also very enduring and endearing. Excuse me. And it is that which I think that the museum will sorely miss, because it is a task to try and find people that have that sort of passion and that sort of knowledge and time to dedicate to educating some of the youngest in our population. And it is with like great regret that I could not have done the collaboration that he and I spoke about privately. Surprise, we were supposed to do something that was going to be educational, not just for kids, but for adults, to try and shore up knowledge and to try and drive interest in learning about not only just human origins, but just how we got to the place that we are, now biologically. And there are very few other people that could do that effectively other than Bill. And his presence is going to be beyond missed. There's very few people that I can think of that can fill the void that he's left. And so I would hope people would find it in their hearts to definitely help out some of the efforts that some of us are trying to make in the wake of his death. But it's just, I don't know. It's a testament to, like, cancer as a whole does not care. It will affect anybody, anytime, anywhere. And I did send Bill's son a message, and this is public, that this does galvanize me in my pursuit to try and find cures for cancer. This, because this is a loss. This is something that I feel that we as a society have to take on board and to take very seriously. Because losing people like this does not drive our society forward; it drives it backwards. So, with that note, I'll cede time to whoever else.
That Jackson did of being a guest on his show. I just encountered him through all the interactions of other people, and I just really loved his work. He was coming at this from a source methods direction. He was careful and meticulous and clear in explaining things. He had an enthusiasm for the subjects that always showed. The fact that he could take on Kent Hovind and beautifully call attention to exactly where he had gotten astray. I was really hyped up for the series that he had begun on interviewing ex-creationists, because this was just a gold mine from a scholarly end to see the mind of people who were coming from one frame and shifting to another, and what they had grown up with, what they had studied, what they hadn't, how they had changed their minds. That was actually contributing things to our understanding of this matter. And I hope that anyone who is in Bill's orbit can pick up that gauntlet, because that is really a wonderful thing. I had nothing but admiration for Bill's videos. I knew that the next one I really got to see, because they were always going to have something in there that was going to improve my understanding of things.
That's high praise indeed, dude, because you're freaking knowledgeable. But if I can go ahead and take this on, if I could take the mic for a minute, because I don't know how much longer I'm going to last. But Bill and I met. I'll just give you some stories. I'm still in denial right now. Well, no, I'm no longer in denial. I'm now at the point where I'm angry. And so I'm going to get past that first. It's a stage of grief. I met Bill because he was debating a creationist, and some creationist decided to cite one of my videos as evidence for his creationist standpoint. And as everybody knows, if you don't know what I'm doing, you'll watch my video and think I'm a creationist.
That's amazing.
And so he commented on my video immediately to tell me what a moron I was. And by the time I could respond to it, he had already erased it and replaced it with something else. I joined him in the debate, and from there on, he and I were constantly together in different debates. I had defended him against a number of attackers. Some creationists that he would deal with, they would give him crap about being a volunteer at a museum and call him a toilet cleaner. And a toilet cleaner is, in fact, a paid position. He was a volunteer. He was not cleaning toilets. He was presenting to children for a living. And when they talked about how miserable his life was as a toilet washer, I was the first one in the debates that we were in to point out that the guy during the day gets to present science to people, an audience of a captive audience of people that wanted to hear what he had to say. And then at night, he was a karaoke DJ. I hope my life ends that way, because that was absolutely fun. That just looks like so much fun. And when the response came back that he had no doctorate degree, my response was that has nothing to do with it. The guy had a great. I wish I could have had that ending, that part of my life. I hope I one day get to volunteer at a museum presenting science, and then maybe going out at night and singing karaoke. That would be a brilliant way to end my life. So I'm very sad that he's gone, because I really wanted to get down there, watch his presentation, and sing karaoke at one of the places he DJ'd at. So that's all I have to say before I start rambling and before I start getting too emotional here. But I miss the guy, and I haven't even I never got a chance to meet him.
I think I can take the next part. I never got a chance to actually meet Bill either, which is something that I regret now, because while I've had dealings with practically everybody in this room except maybe Tony, I think me and Tony have only really done stuff together on Prophet of Zod's channel. But Bill was one of the ones that it was always in the back of my mind. Okay, well, at some point we'll talk. At some point we'll be able to do something, because I knew about his debates with Hovind. I knew about a lot of the history he had over the years. And now I realize that I missed that opportunity. And I guess that's what I'm here to say. If there is somebody who you do respect and you want to reach out to them, just do it. Sometimes it could be too late.
I
guess,
sorry, Shannon, to interrupt.
Oh, no, go ahead, Sean. I'm sorry.
So we did get a super chat, which I turned off monetization for this, obviously, but any of the super chats that we get are going to be going directly to the GoFundMe. So, but I'm sorry, Wilson said the world seems a little less bright, and I couldn't agree more with that. But just letting people know, the best way to do anything is to donate directly to the GoFundMe. But any super chats are going to be, going towards this GoFundMe. Okay, now I'll let you go, Shannon.
Yeah, no, it's okay. I'm really sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you. That's important to mention, because it helps support his family with all of the costs that are associated with something like this. This sucks. He's such a good man. What I want to emphasize is how exceptionally generous he was with his time and his knowledge, and how immensely supportive he was of people that he saw as positive and contributing, of really anybody who was seeking knowledge and education. He was always a stabilizing voice, sometimes at tumultuous times. He would reach out and just give encouraging words. And working working with him through, seeing him work with Paul too on Paul's channel, because he was a contributor on Paul's channel. I'll let Paul speak for himself, but he just gave so much. He was a volunteer. He volunteered to teach children. That's what he did in his retirement, in his spare time. He could have just been, lounging, but instead he took his time to go and pursue more education and better himself and use that education and that betterment to pass it on to another generation because he was passionate about it and he felt like it was important. And that's why he was so generous. And it just sucks. You lose good people and it blindsides you because he didn't tell anybody, probably because he didn't want anybody to worry or be concerned, or I mean, I don't know. I can't think for him, or speak for him. But I want people, if you haven't seen Bill or don't know who Bill is and you've stumbled across this, please go check out Bill Ludlow's channel. Watch his debate with Kent Hovind. Watch it. Watch everything he does because he's so passionate and knowledgeable, and he's given so much in the way of education to the world. And that's the legacy that I think that he would like to have. And I hope that people don't take that for granted because there's a breadth of knowledge there that we're all really lucky to have. And I'm so glad he did what he did so that he could leave it behind, at least one small part of it, for others to benefit from. So if his family's watching this, I just want to say thank you to him and to you guys for supporting him because he means a lot. So I'll cede now to
I first
whoever's
heard the
next.
name Bill Ludlow about 2 years ago, and the context was that there had been Kent Hovind had started ramping up debates again, and there had been a few that had not gone particularly well for the secular side, just because it was people who hadn't necessarily debated before, and Kent has a script that you kind of have to learn. Anyway, Bill Ludlow's name had come up associated with me, and someone said, well, does someone want to give Bill maybe some tips about how this next debate was going to go? And Bill comes in the chat and says, no, I got this. And that was all I'd ever heard from Bill before. That's the first I ever heard of him. I'm like, who is this guy who thinks that no, I got this? Anyway, a couple days later, he watched the debate, and no one has owned Kent the way, even since, no one has owned Kent the way Bill owned Bill Ludlow in that debate. And that was the moment when I said, this is someone I have to get to know. And I was fortunate in the last couple of years to have many interactions with him, not only around. So, for those of you who don't know, he specialized in hominid evolution. He really knew virtually everything there was to know about the most recent common ancestors, the hominid, the whole hominid group in general. And so whenever Answers News came on, whenever Ken Ham was talking about them, I would get a message from Bill. Do you want me on today? Should we talk about hominids? And I was fortunate to have him come on Answers News on Ham and Egg News several times. And unlike some of my guests who kind of come on and we hum and we haw and we joke about it, Bill joked about it. He was hilarious, but he just sent me recordings. He said, here's all you need. Here's the tape. Here's the audio. You make this work into something, because he again, he just owned Ken Ham. When you entered in the, he mastered it, but he was super kind. But I think what a lot of us appreciated as well was his sense of humor. If you have ever seen any of his back and forths with Kent, there's a reason why Kent Hovind has had Bill on his channel so often, why he responds to Bill Ludlow's videos, is because he kind of tears them apart with humor and with kindness, and it's something that you just can't ignore. Even the creationist people can't ignore the kind of great work that he does. And then, of course, a lot of people have mentioned just his sheer kindness. Those of us who were able to follow his personal social media at all, he just loved his family so much. And they meant the world to him. And he had this life, as Tony alluded to, beyond, like, as a musician, as a DJ, all this stuff. A lot of us kind of get obsessed in this realm, and we work and we work and we work. And that man knew how to do balance. So kudos to him. I think drag was, there's lessons to be learned here from Bill. One is to find balance. And I guess the last thing I would say is, I'm a cancer survivor myself. And I don't know what Bill's story was. I hope that I get to find out more sometime. But the only reason I'm here in this chat today is because I went at the earliest signs and got something looked at. So I worry that that Bill, that there might have been a way that Bill could have been with us longer if he'd have checked things sooner. Because it's Bill strikes me as the kind of guy who again, he got this, he knows what he's doing, and it strikes me that I I shouldn't, I don't have enough information, but all I would say is I'm sure Bill would agree. Look after your health as well. That's one of the things you need to have balance in. Um, so we are lost a brilliant man, a volunteer who cared so much about kids, and he knew how to have a great time all at the same time. So Bill, I miss you lots, buddy. Cheers.
It's funny. I remember the first time I met Bill was actually after the Kent Hovind debate. It was the after show, and I was in the after show with Bill, and it's exactly what you just said. Before Kent Hovind, if you ever want to see Kent Hovind win a debate, look at Kent Hovind's debate right before the debate with Bill Ludlow. He actually, some people think he won that debate, and I know it sounds shocking, but people think he actually won a debate. That's how bad the person debating Kent Hovind had done. So going into this debate, it was like, oh, Kent's, he's undefeated now. He's got God on his side. He's walking into this debate with Bill Ludlow. He's going to make it happen. Kent Hovind's going to win. And the one thing I remember taking out of watching it was just not the amount of knowledge that this man had, but the way he was able to convey it. I felt that I was learning so much about the topic of things that I didn't even think about. Like when he kept saying things like, it's about populations and not individuals. You have to, he was not only correcting, but also teaching, showing you how to get there. And I think it was such powerful as an educator that he was able to do that he was able to bring you on that journey and help you realize the knowledge, not just tell you what it is. And it's a shame because a month ago we were in another hangout. We were in TST together, and we're in there with another young Earth creationist, and Bill's doing his thing, explaining it, trying to break it down. And it always amazed me how he was able to take something that was so complex and not only break it down so you can understand it, but also break down your misconceptions about it, because that's how he got so many young Earth creationists to overcome that, because he had to not only show them that his way was more reasonable, but also show them the mistakes and do it in a way of love. And sometimes I think even with the movements, we missed that point. And I think Bill was a great example of that. So, I definitely will miss him. I'll miss his encouragement. And I know we lost a great guy.
Is it just Nathaniel who hasn't? I think it's Nathaniel's the only person who hasn't had a chance to speak.
Yeah, I believe it's Nathaniel. Do you wanna say something?
It kind of makes sense that the cowardice pricks over at Prager would wait until after he died to release a shitty video, right?
That was bad.
Yeah,
That was really bad. We need Bill.
Bill and I were talking not too long ago. Well, hell, we were talking like last week, it seemed like. We were actually going to purchase a bunch of like actual, hominid skeletons and stuff. And I have like the stuff for like, don't tell Susan about this, please. Because she has no idea. I'm pretty certain she's not watching this. Sorry, John. And gonna actually put them like in like some of our videos and stuff, and be able to show things about why this is what this is. And we were having this idea, and I have the websites and everything. If you want to know how expensive they are, yeah. And that was like something that, and we go out there, and he and I show these fossils off a lot because I found them in like West Texas and North Texas. And he and I went over in fairly great detail why they're different, even though they're the same. And the difference is just in habitat. And because I'm I'm like a wannabe scientist because I think I went to school for it, but I don't do it anymore. And Bill was a good friend. And I don't know. We learned a lot from him and from everybody that obviously with Psy not too long ago, you know, and Paul wrote me a message. You might know him. He's in the chat, or he's in the video.
He's super cute.
He's got nice hair.
He does.
And
That's what I say.
Paul told me he told me that I'm a good person. I'm a good man, and I hope that at some point I can only be as good as what Bill set the standard for, as far as the type of person to be for everybody. He and I didn't agree on every subject. But when it came to science, it was difficult for me to find somebody who loved it as much as I do, and who loved the intricacy of it as much as I do, and who spends hours and hours in the desert on possibly not enough water, trying to find more so we can learn more and show more. And well, no, I'm celebrating his life, right? Because he so amazing. Oh, Bill.
Bill
Cheers
did
to
love his
Bill.
beer.
I don't
We
have
gotta
beer.
celebrate
I have a smoothie. I'll work with that, I think.
it.
Thanks,
Now
sir.
you're making me jealous.
I'm
I would definitely.
I got to
Go ahead,
say, I'm envious because I never had the pleasure of disagreeing with him or debating with him at all. I pretty much agreed with pretty much everything he said. And also, Nathaniel, I'll also tell you, I'm envious of your voice. If you had been around at the time when Zod was casting, you probably would have gotten the voice of God.
That's okay. No. I need to interject here. I have been around Nathaniel in real life. His voice is not that deep.
No, I do this I do this on purpose. So
Okay.
So Tony, don't worry. You've got it naturally. I've hung around Nathaniel before.
my voice it's super sexy. It's just not like what it sounds like on here.
False
So
advertising.
one other person who wanted to be here tonight was Aaron Raw. Aaron really
Yeah.
wanted to be here, but the tornadoes in Texas have caused him to. He's chosen to do what Bill would do, and that is put his hands into action, and look after some things that need to look after there. But Aaron, obviously meant a lot, or
Yeah,
Bill meant a
he
lot to
had a-
Aaron as well. And those of you who missed it on social media, Bill reached out to Aaron a few days ago and let him know that he was going to be forwarding all of his hominid material over to Aaron to keep using and to keep that legacy going. So we're going to be all enriched that way.
That's the thing about like his. It didn't matter what he would like. You could, if you had a question about hominid evolution or to a certain degree geology, you could just reach out to Bill, and Bill would just be like, "What do you need?" And he'd find it. Or he'd just know it, or he'd just, that's it. Here it is. This is, it was in this period, and it was this fossil, and here's papers. Like he would just know, like right off the bat. Like it didn't matter what it was, even if you were just in some foolish argument on Facebook or Twitter, or you were going on some debate, or you were in some live stream and you were just curious about the things that they were talking about. He would just give you the information, and he wouldn't just tell you, he would tell you where to find it. He would encourage you to educate yourself, to advocate for yourself, and show you how to do the source methodology. Like he just cared about education. He just really, the truth really mattered to him, and people finding the truth and knowing the appropriate ways to go about discerning what is and isn't factual were really, really important to him. So important that he spent a substantial proportion of his time making sure that he could impart that knowledge to another generation, just because he knew it mattered and that there was people fighting against that imperative. And
Yeah, it takes somebody that has a real dedication, because I have to tell you, of all the subfields within biology, and I'm sorry, Bill, that is the most boring one. This is a personal bias of mine. I enjoy talking about human origins, but man, is it boring. But Bill found a way to even keep me entertained, and I've actually had, I don't know how many semesters of this stuff, but it is the man just excelled in that.
mainly encouraging.
Yeah, like it's
oh
amazing.
man, can you imagine being me and being absolutely fascinated by human origins and learning stuff?
Tony's ghosting.
Kid to candy shop, I'm sure.
I went to school for it, so
I'm sorry.
I'm just
no. I don't know
just
why I
know
didn't
that-
choose dinosaurs.
I just know that began with Tony said, "Imagine being me," and my first thought was, "Yeah, I could imagine being a cartoon god at least a few ways."
Greg, were you going to say something? Maybe I was blipping out, and I didn't hear what you were going to say.
No, I was just making a joke at one of the things that I like to poke fun at from other science enthusiasts, science nerds, is that there's a different personality that's kind of associated with different fields. Those of us who are more, I guess, cantankerous seem to gravitate towards molecular biology, and those of us who are more kind and open and wanting to actually communicate with other humans tend to go more towards like human origins and that sort of thing. And they have the time and the patience to explain, no, this is homology, this is anatomy, no, that's not that. And it definitely fit well within his character, and I kind of wish that he would have actually taught some of my courses that I've taken in the past, because I would have probably paid attention more if Bill was the one teaching it.
There's such a stark difference between in some instances, between being a researcher and an educator. There's such different skill sets.
Very.
And he was a fantastic educator, just by every metric.
And he took it seriously. That's one thing I really respected about Bill, because anybody can get on here and I can talk at length about the biochemical pathways of aspartate producing methionine and isoleucine, and people's eyes are glazing over. See, yeah. So like that is one, like it is something completely different to be part storyteller and be able to say, this is where we all come from. And it's a concept that in a way it's almost mystical or magical. And to take people on that journey and to impart with them knowledge that will stick with them forever is the role, is the job, is the charge of someone who takes the pedagogical arts very seriously. And while you have many people who pretend to do that, right? Because we've all been on YouTube, we've all experienced, the G-men of the internet, and so if you were to put Bill on a scale,
I'm glad it wasn't me.
Yeah, we're talking about you, Paul.
there are plenty of people, and that's something that Bill found interesting, is that there are people who pretend to want to impart knowledge, but Bill is actually doing it. He actually had a skill set that I deeply admired, and that's being able to impart knowledge upon people, to keep their interest and to want them to come back for more. And Bill did not back down from a challenge, and he sought to continuously improve himself. And that is something that I think all of us should emulate.
Yeah, the James Burke is an exemplar here for what Bill was doing, because James Burke in his science work would say that if anything that can be understood can be explained, and what it's the job of the explainer, you can't explain it if you don't actually understand it. So the knowledge is fabulous, but that ability to translate it into a way where you can understand it is even better. I'll point out too, on that Prager video that just come out, we're talking about the one with Steve Meyer. Jackson Wheat has already done a script on that. I just reviewed it this morning. He's doing a response to that.
Good. Bill would be
Yeah,
proud.
He's not the only one doing a response to it. I think I literally as soon as I saw that video, I posted on Twitter like, "Okay, this is collab material. Who wants it?"
Mhm.
Oh, Nathaniel, you moved your microphone away and we can't hear you. Are you talking? We can't hear you, but oh, okay.
So
I've had
sorry,
trouble with my audio.
I don't
here,
know.
so that's not surprising.
Go ahead, John.
Sorry, John.
no, that's fine. So one of the people that couldn't be here tonight was Adam the Atheist. He's a creator that I interviewed recently that was a young Earth creationist, and he was seriously affected by Bill, and so he gave me a sort of statement to read, and I was going to read that real quick, and then we can jump back into whatever discussion. So this is coming from Adam the Atheist. When I first came across Bill's channel, I was fresh into my interest for scientific topics such as human origins. Being raised homeschooled in YEC, I really didn't know much about it and hadn't had the confidence to dive into any research in my adulthood. I found Bill through his debate with Kent Hovind, and my attention was immediately grabbed by his presentation and personality. I have actually listened to his debate with Kent several times because I find the subject matter so interesting. Scientific topics were always really confusing for me growing up and into my early adulthood. My lack of well-grounded education affected my confidence greatly. It wasn't that I couldn't understand the basics. It was that I was too scared that I wouldn't. So I avoid speaking about them or reading beyond the pop culture articles that speak about a study conducted. Bill was a key player in changing that for me. I don't personally have any idols, but I do have people I admire. I told my wife a few months ago that out of everyone I could meet, I wanted to meet Bill and Aaron the most, simply because I wanted to be able to sit with them and learn. Bill asked me to come on his channel to share my story, and I was so excited for it. Unfortunately, but understandably, he had to cancel. I almost got to meet him. But I do know his character and passion for all things science, and for that, he will always be an inspiration to me. So I just want to publicly thank Bill for helping me find that confidence to learn and research. That's something I will always remember.
Oh, that kills me. He almost got to meet him. Adam's such a cool person. Think about how lucky we are. Like, so many people looked up to Bill. Like, think about the silent people that you may never even hear of that saw that debate or saw other components of Bill's work or went to that museum and spoke to Bill or listened to Bill. That's the trajectory of their life and the way that they viewed education and science and learning changed. Like, there's a testament to that. That's impactful. We should all be so lucky.
We're only around for a very brief period, and we try to make the most of it. And Bill
We'll probably never really know is
Go
one
ahead.
thing we'll probably never know is how long to hopefully you guys can hear me is exactly how long Bill's been planning for this. I'm starting to look back a little bit at some of the messages I've got in the last month from Bill, or a little bit longer. A couple months ago, for example, he set up his website, and his topics weren't quite as comprehensive as he wanted. So I know he was pushing Jackson and I. There was like, oh well, I'm gonna use this video from you and this video, but he was like hinting around. It was like, oh, my website really needs this thing to be complete and that, and I'm just wondering how much he was building his legacy. And I know I've talked to some of you privately. I've had some private messages. I don't necessarily want to reveal what they were about, but they seemed very concerned for me to make sure that the way he's done things and the way the way things are going to be. In hindsight, it's very touching, just to make sure that the message and the goal and all of our aims were still set. And it's in what had to have been a very difficult last weeks or months or however long he's known about this. That was where his mind was as well. His mind was on me and lots of people in this group and beyond this group, and making sure that things were set up right. And that's means a lot. And I'll always be curious as to how long he's been working on this.
Preserve his legacy.
It's not even his legacy. He viewed it very much as the mission of education, and that he was. I feel like he felt he was just a piece of it. I think
a cog in the
I think
wheel.
we all see him as Bill's legacy that we'll be carrying on, but I don't know that he saw it that way.
Well, perhaps I'm a little biased by my in the stages of grief. I'm at anger right now. So where I'm at right now is it's full stop. There's great science communicators out there. There are plenty more out there, but Bill had his own way, and he had a way of expressing something to where it seemed like it was common sense. And when he would refute somebody else's argument, he made it seem like such a pish posh thing. And
Absolutely.
There's not gonna. I can't imagine anybody else topping him there. And so, for me, I'm angry that it's a full stop. I'm just angry about that.
He had such a curt way about him too. He didn't put up with foolishness. He just cut right through it. No tolerance for it. He's so endearing.
Yeah, going through Bill's timeline today and gathering pictures up and everything like that, Bill was not one for bullshit. He didn't tolerate it like all that much. And he had no problem laughing off like shitty comments towards him, in any kind of context. And I know me personally, Bill was one of the people that I looked up to. Like after my Kent Hovind debate, regardless of how you feel about how that went, for me, one of the things that I did was I went back and I watched Bill, his debate with Kent, and I watched other things with Bill, and it's just he was one of those people that I, like Adam, had looked up to and tried to meet the standard that he set. And I don't know if I'll ever really get to that, but I know that I can continue trying. And he's a really good role model to have in general. So I think that with his plethora of videos and everything that he has, I think he's set a pretty good standard that everybody should live up to with, how to engage people and how to argue your points and everything like that. And just the amount of volunteer work that he did. If you go back and you look on his Facebook page, right there at the end of September, he was out with people showing them how to make molds of fossils. And the fact is that at that point he had stomach cancer, and yet he was still out there trying to help people, understand his passion. And that's so awesome to me. And I hate that we've lost that.
Doesn't feel real.
I was going to say amen, but then I realized what channel I was on.
He'll tell you to suck Jesus' dick. You got to be careful.
Okay, so you know what channel you're on. Is it Jesus dick or is it whale penis?
Whale penis. Oh, where's
It's
Jackson?
both, okay? Get it
Jackson, do another
right.
video on whale penis. Oh my gosh. So funny. Poor
I
Jackson.
think there could be a whale penis channel.
Yeah, it's Jackson's channel.
Oh,
we made
most
sure
certainly.
that.
All whale penises, 24
Me and
hours
Paul
a
made abs-
day.
Which
laugh for a second.
I've actually
But,
got.
Bill was very careful about.
Go ahead, RJ.
Yeah, Bill was very careful about sources. That's why I admired him so much, is that he would go the step beyond to put things in grounding, to get it with bring on a guest to describe the specific material, to get a technical work pegged in, so that it was never something where it was just his talking head. There was always work behind it that anybody could investigate and you could follow up on your own. And that's the high standard for me.
Yeah, I think that's a great standard to follow behind, and not just using any old article. Because if you're criticizing a Hovenite for using terrible sources, then you can't turn around and do the same thing, no matter if you have the correct conclusions. And it is something that I think one of the things that we should emulate.
You got to make sure it's sufficient evidence.
And despite all the insane amount he did know, one of the things I learned from him early in my career was just how comfortable you can be when you say we don't know, I don't know, we don't know. He never shirked that as the answer when that was the best answer, and that was powerful coming from someone who knew so much as he.
I remember before he took on Ken Hovind.
The point is that you don't know everything. That's what. This is fun.
We lost RJ, I think.
Go ahead,
Tony, so
Tony.
you might be able to go.
I mean, I'm
just
more
shut
interested in what RJ has to say, but that's okay. No, I remember before he took on Kent Hovind, I tried to give him the warning like everybody else did about what Kent would do. And he says, "Oh, wait, I've got a bunch of fossils he's never even heard of." And he did. He presented so many fossils that I was just like, wow, what the hell? This guy knows his stuff. It's very impressive. Hey, Nathaniel, are we boring you? What's going on?
I'm keeping. I'm sorry, everybody, but I'm keeping track of my neighbors to the north.
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
And I'm very excited right now. By the way,
really?
so,
Okay.
And I
yes, I'm very.
not looking. My writing was going liberal earlier.
So does he live in South Korea?
No, no. I live in DFW, and my neighbors to the north are the Canadians. So
we had an election.
Us over here.
So.
yes.
Oh, you guys.
We voted.
Okay, I used to live in Texas, and DFW meant Dallas Fort Worth. So you're what?
That's still what it means. That's
what
as
he's
it turns
talking
out.
about.
The acronym has not
There's
changed.
nothing important between Dallas and Canada.
Nope. There's.
Okay.
What are you living,
Call it
Grapevine or what?
I've driven it, so yeah, I'd agree.
No, we live in Arlington. So, the stadium's right over there. Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
But I was so
Hey.
I think that Bill would be okay with me doing this because he would tell me when I was getting off topic, but then I would tell him how important it was, and he would tell me I was getting off topic again, and I would listen. So
This is par for the course.
yeah, this is me in a nutshell. But of all the times for me to be like, you know what, I'm paying attention to something else. There's another update. See, oh, cool. So if you're a liberal person, and I think that he would be okay with me keeping track of this tonight.
Canada's Texas, our polls are still open, so you watch it.
Yeah, that's right. Wait till I get
No, I thought the polls just closed like 20 minutes ago.
Oh, they did actually. Yeah, in Canada's Texas. Yeah, I was here.
And they should have.
Come on, man.
I think they closed at 6 in BC. So there you go.
It's funny when I know more about your country than
No, not more. We're focused on the right things, Nathaniel. We're focused on the right.
No, we're just
is-
actually focused on the topic. So we're purposefully ignoring it. It'll wait.
So you know that
It'll
I
wait.
Just imagine 1,000 Bill Ludlows all active simultaneously in the online world, and then even better, imagine Bill Ludlows all doing that. Imagine the impact that there would be.
Yeah, it would be great.
Nathaniel would perpetually stay on topic. Yeah.
I would find a way to be somewhere else in some way or some fashion. I'd find Cirrus and be like, Cirrus, let's talk about philosophy, and that would be it.
Yeah, don't worry. I'm Cirrus and Bill.
Or we could have that conversation we've been meaning to have on time travel for 6 months.
Oh, we have. Oh my! See, this is what. Cirrus, stop it! It's your fault.
You already had the time travel conversation. You just haven't done it yet. That's the future.
Oh my gracious!
Here we are. This is the reality you've constructed.
We're talking about like funny scenarios involving Bill. Has Bill had a conversation with Cirrus, and has he asked like, "Who's the funny-haired girl behind you, Cirrus? Who is that?"
Unfortunately, me and Bill never actually found ourselves together in a chat room, to my knowledge. So
that's unfortunate.
That's too bad.
The extent of our interactions are Facebook and Twitter, and that's one of the reasons that I'm upset, because I wanted to actually know Bill more, but I kept pushing it off, and then here we are.
I remember being in a live stream with Bill and getting incredibly upset because it was one of those live streams similar to this one, only more chaotic, where there's 15 people all jockeying for position to, be the biggest brain and show everybody how smart they were. And I wanted to.
That doesn't happen here.
It's not happening here, but I wanted to listen to Bill because he had interesting and informative things to say about the topic, and he wasn't just attempting to own the other people in the conversation. And I remember getting intensely frustrated because of that, because so many people jockey for position so that they can get that clout, and Bill didn't care about that. So in situations like that, he would kind of just fall back and be a little more silent, because he wasn't going to compete to be heard, even though what he had to say was very likely more interesting and more relevant than what the louder people in the rooms were trying to scream so that they could be heard.
He probably thought he needed to learn more. I mean, because I want to shut up most of the time, especially around somebody like RJ, Paul. I mean, I want to shut up. I don't want to hear I don't want to hear what I have to say. I want to hear what you guys have to say. You guys have a lot more insight than I do, or at least you have insight that I don't have, at the very least. And I got a feeling that's exactly how he felt.
Humble. Yeah. I don't know. I miss his voice. I do. Like not just his actual voice, but his presence. Like there was so many times that like everything was garbage, and I just thought to myself, you know what? Why even bother? Like everything just sucked. Why bother? And Bill would let you know that you were important.
Shannon, I'm pretty sure I think I've seen you say that every day consecutively for the past year.
Yeah, probably.
I can't think there's been a day where you haven't said that, all things considered.
Yeah, you helped me too, though. There's other people that have helped me. That's true. But Bill's one of them.
The rest of us are going to have to be, more adults in the room, because Bill was always the adult in the room as well. So.
Right. But like Bill wasn't as close to me. Like he wasn't like Cirrus and I talk on an almost daily basis. Same with Paul and John, and like we talk frequently. So when you would hear something from somebody you look up to, like Bill, like when he would just reach out to you just to tell you that he liked a thing that you were doing and he felt like your voice was important, that would resonate. Because he wasn't like your friend that was just, potentially just saying that because they want you to shut up, which I'm sure you guys do to me sometimes. He was saying it because he meant it and was looking at you objectively, and that meant something. So, anyway, just I miss his temperance.
that objective aspect is really important, because Bill reflected the idea that it's not what you want to have as an ideology or another position. You want to know what the facts are, and you want to be able to explain them clearly to people so that they understand them, and hopefully along the way spur the same kind of enthusiasm that he had. And I think he was damn good at that.
Yeah, he was, Adrian.
I miss the most his cadence, the way he spoke, and then just there's this subtle, dry humor he had that it just. I mean, I would end up thinking about 30 seconds and then laugh my ass off. I loved that about him because it was so subtle that you had to think about it for 5 seconds or so, or in my case, 30.
You got that 15 seconds later.
Tony, your self-deprecation.
I think most everything I've heard from Tony so far has been some way of him saying, I'm not good at this and I'm not good at being here. Just like, Tony, we like you. Stop.
Plus, I miss Tony videos.
I'm back. I'm coming back on Friday.
Teased me before, Tony, and I've been disappointed, and I don't want to be let down again. So,
no woman has ever said that to me. So, but anyway, no, I'm coming back this Friday. I'll be doing a video on gravitational time dilation, because that's the kind of geek I am.
I can't wait.
Ooh, are you talking about Charles Jackson? Because that was Bill's favorite.
No, I'm talking about Russell Humphreys.
Oh, well, Charles was just a student of Russell Humphreys, so that works. That works.
Oh, Humphreys. Oh, God.
Yeah,
I'll never forget the
let's see how we can rearrange reality to suit this.
Right. Is Humphreys the one with the crystal? Oh my gosh, what was the ages of the crystals, Paul?
Zircon.
Yeah.
Well,
Zircon, yes.
It's actually going to be 2 episodes. The first one's going to be about gravitational time dilation. Second one's going to be about his predictions about the magnetic fields of the different planets.
Humphreys was good at. He was able to guess that the magnetic fields would be roughly equivalent to their size. Ta-da! God.
Wow. Well, God's real. I'm convinced.
Yeah, he's here in the chat.
So
Tony
is here.
Wins the Nobel Prize for
What'd you say, Drag?
I mean, I would like to see like the methods on that.
I would be happy to forward to you that. It's literally that. Plus Bible verses.
My head exploded.
Russell Humphreys is the only person that I've seen put Bible verses in their methods section.
Oh, have you? Well, hold on. I will challenge you on that. Have you read anything from Georgia Purdom?
Yeah. No, I haven't.
No.
Who was the one who did the chip?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I'm just going to leave that
Georgia
there.
on our mind.
Oh, Paul, who was the one that did the human the chromosome?
That was
Tompkins?
What was his name?
Tompkins?
Yeah, Jeff
Tompkins.
Jeffrey Tompkins. That one was garbage. That was the first creationist paper from a creationist journal I ever met or I ever read. And I threw my phone across the room, and I was like, Paul, if you don't let me talk about methodology, I
hope you'll be entertaining to know that Jackson Wheat and I are raking over Jeffrey Tompkins's chromosome work, Georgia Purdom's material, John Sanford's genetic entropy arguments. We're going after a hell people. David Menton is going to despise us once the book is appeared. We're an equal opportunity anvil dropper in this one.
I hate them.
I mean, it sounds like a recipe to induce brain cancer, but good luck in your endeavors. Let me know if I can help in any way.
Oh boy, we have got scoops up the yin yang, and I think we're dedicating the second book to Bill. But this is all the same of following up on the sources. Whenever somebody says something that you go, what? See if they've got sources, and if they do, follow them up, because I bet you'll find out your own stuff, and you'll discover why they have their head up their ass.
They have no source methodology. They're like, if their source methodology is this is the conclusion I would like to find in this study.
It's a game they cannot.
Here's a study.
Their brains just don't do it.
Yeah, people believe nonsense though.
I have had the fortune of meeting Jeffrey Tompkins.
Oh my!
Condolences.
Oh yeah, he's at ICR, and I actually told Bill this story because Susan and I had our first date, and if you don't know Susan, she's my amazing partner.
It's great.
She's so fucking amazing. We had our first date, and on our first date, it was last year. We were hanging out, and I told her, I said, "Hey, do you want to go to church with me?" And she, I think I said it on purpose like that, because we actually met at a church. It was a protest of a church of First Baptist Dallas, which is of all places, Dallas, and we actually met at a protest of that church. And I said, I'm going back to First Baptist Dallas. I wonder if you want to come with me, because by the way, all the people at ICR are deacons at First Baptist, and they teach all this young earth nonsense pretty much all the time there. And she said yes. So I was like, well, this is going to go really well or badly. Shut up, Bixby. Nobody's talking to you. By the way, you said Jeffrey Tompkins and Bixby woke up, so I don't know what that does. And
concerning.
And Jeff Tompkins, who by the way has a PhD from Clemson University, he does really well with soybean genetics. I agree. I've read his published work on soybean genetics; it's phenomenal. And he was teaching this thing about, and this is why Bill found this so funny. He was teaching, if you want to call it that, about human evolution. How come we're not 98%, which we know what that means. And he showed Shaq, and he showed who's the little is the guy from Game of Thrones, little short guy. I forget his name. He's so great, such a good actor.
Peter Dinklage.
Yes, yes, and he said it was Peter Dinklage, and he said, in 50 years or whatever, or 100 years, they find these skeletons. They might say that they're different species because they're short and tall. And I had I was taking notes on my Galaxy Note, and I had this S Pen, and I was just like, I started clicking it a bunch, and I was like, Susan's gonna hate me for this because I was getting so upset. And at the end, they had questions, and they had time for questions, which is always their undoing. And I said, "Hi, I have a question about your Peter Dinklage thing with Shaq." And I said, do you know, I asked him if he knew what valgus knees were first off, and he had no idea. So that was a thing. And I asked him about if they found that, do you think they would find the same types of knees on Shaq and on Peter Dinklage? They would have the same, basic anatomy. And I gave the actual names of it. And a person in the crowd said, well, can you call it something else? And I said, I can't help that that's what it's called. And
or can you use smaller words?
And it was, they had no answer for that. And that was Jeffrey Tompkins. And I told that story to Bill. And I think it may have been like the first or second time we ever spoke. And it was really nice to be able to, because I wanted to make sure that I got it right first off. And it was really, he laughed at the story, because at that point I was also like, hey, Susan, do you want to go get something to eat after this? And she had said yes. So I figured I had not fucked up the entire thing. And so that was really nice. So wow. I've met all those people, by the way, and they have started kicking us out of the churches that we go to now. So,
just a quick question: is Tompkins' soybean work on anything to do with amino acid synthesis?
I don't remember, but he's got like
I don't think so.
10 or 15 papers on soybeans.
Okay, I'll look at them. I was just curious.
Yeah, in fact,
it's good work.
The anti-evolutionist actually does a biogenesis related work.
Well, no, they just bring up the research that I.
Well, no, what I like amino acid synthesis. So like how the plants make their own amino acids. That's my area of research. So I'm curious if he actually does anything, because then I would have to unironically end up reading his research.
I don't think that's.
Ruin Drag's life, Nate.
What you might want to do, and this is kind of a source methods pointer, is virtually all of Tompkins's work is available online. So you can download like the PDFs of his work and go at it from your expertise to see, is any of the stuff that you're aware of showing up in his source listings? Because he has very extensive footnotes in his stuff. And so that actually would be a beautiful opportunity for using your own individual expertise to probe in to where he's coming from in his frame. And that would lead to additional questions you would want to ask him if you ever bump into it.
I hope not. I really don't. Like I kind of enjoy, like I'm not really into plant biochemistry, but I'm just kind of doing it. But I really don't want to read his stuff.
Also, stay at Texas, Greg. Just stay at Texas.
Oh.
Yeah. It's getting better.
Or Kentucky, and then you'll avoid both.
Union I've ever been to. It's Texas. It's the only American state I've ever visited.
It's getting better.
And there is no more American state than Texas, though. Like literally every single aspect of American culture that is parodied, you can point to Texas and just go, but it's real there.
Yeah.
What about Florida? Have you considered Florida?
I grew up in Florida. We make an exception for Florida, man.
Okay. I do have to go though, guys. I'm very sorry. It's 11:45 here.
And it depends on
the morning. So I'm so sorry, Archie. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I am going to say goodbye. And I just want to say to anybody who's a fan of Bill, if you're watching, please go check Bill out. Bill, thank you for everything. And
yeah, John, and thanks so much for having us on. Appreciate it a lot.
Thank you guys.
Legacy must live on.
Thank you guys for being on here, and this is kind of a good point to sort of go out on. I thought that I know Paul just had to leave, but I thought that we could have some kind of closing thoughts or things about Bill, and the only thing that I have really to say is that I know that Bill is going to be remembered for a long time, and I feel like that's really the only way that we can sort of live on past our own lifetimes is in the memory of others. And I feel like Bill has left a lasting memory that's gonna be here for a long time, and it's comforting to know, but at the same time I hate that we lost him. So I don't know if Shannon wants to expand upon what she was saying when she's got to go, or anybody else that wants to kind of give any kind of final thoughts, or anything about Bill.
Bill may have dropped the baton, not by his own doing. It's up to us to pick it up and keep running with it.
Yeah, I agree.
I think I'm comfortable with that.
Yeah, I'd say the best thing we could do is continue doing what we're doing, but do it with the grace that he had, because I mean, he made things seem so common sense. And that was what was awesome about how he presented things. You were always impressed with what he said, but at the same time, he made it seem like I should have thought of that. And let's continue doing that.
Okay, gang. Bye.
Can I have one last thing, if that's okay. Bill did mean a lot to me, and I'm actually kind of sad that Paul had to go. So Shannon, if you wouldn't mind passing on to him what I'm about to say. I'm happy to count many of you that are in here and then also in the chat room and stuff like that as friends. But Bill meant a lot to me, and I'm really sad that he is gone. So Paul, I swear to God, please take care of yourself and everybody else here too, because I don't know what I would do if I'd lost somebody else, and I'm sick of that happening. So that's about it. Just
all we can do is keep his memory alive, move on. I mean, it is going to be difficult, but that's what Bill would want us to do, was to be strong in his stead.
Yeah, make it about the information that we're passing on too. Be educators as best we can and fill the gap that he's left. That's what I'm gonna try to do as best I can. I can't educate in his field, but at least try to have a spirit that's in line with that, because it matters to people. It's important. It was important to him. It reaffirms to me that it's something that should be important, and we should take it seriously. We have the opportunity to influence people, and we shouldn't take that lightly.
Yeah, I think that's a big deal. We have, I don't have nearly as many people that look at our stuff, but I think the people that look at us should see us as, or we should know that the people do look at us and the things that we say. And I think that knowing that maybe this video that I'm working on and stuff could be something that lives on in my name, because it's the last thing that I'm going to make, I think, in the interaction that I have, these kind of events really make me think about those things. And absolutely, we have a responsibility. I think everybody, not just people that make stuff, but in every interaction, because people are going to remember us. And I want people to remember me for something more than the fact that I can never get my audio right in my YouTube videos.
I hear that.
What are you talking about, Nathaniel? Your audio's fine.
I make it. This is my favorite. I've listened to myself for a second. This is the favorite. This is my best way that I've ever sounded on here. So I'm gonna take it.
I promised him when I found out that he was, had stomach cancer. I commented that I was in denial and I was hoping that somebody had hacked his account, and that I would only respond to him once I'm at the level of acceptance. I'm not at that level yet. So, I mean, there's stages of grief. There's 5 of them, and I'm at the second level. I'm angry. And so right now I'm very sad, very angry that he's gone. Now, I wouldn't say there's people I prefer were gone, but I mean, I'm very angry that he's gone, because I really enjoyed the guy. I really wanted to meet him. And I really did plan to go out to Mesa, Arizona, because I really did want to go out and hang out and listen to his speech and listen to him present, and then go sing karaoke and have a couple drinks with him. And I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to get that to happen. So that's how I feel right now.
Sorry, Tony.
He was only like 400, 500 miles away from me. I could have driven there.
And you didn't know.
Yeah. Well, if you ever want to hang out, Tony, let me know. I'm known to drive hundreds of miles to hang out with people.
Come on out to Vegas.
Oh, now I'm gonna come for just to come.
Context. Yeah.
Context. Yeah, exactly.
We're just gonna clip that
To
part,
Vegas.
Nathaniel. I'm gonna keep that part clipped. And if I ever do a video with you, I'm just gonna be like, all right, so the best thing about Nathaniel is this clip right here.
You know what? I'll take it. But
I do have to go, though. I'm really sorry, guys. I have to go to sleep.
Yeah.
Thank you. Have a good night, guys. It was very nice to hang out with you guys, even under these circumstances. And if my DMs are open, if you need me.
Yeah.
Good night, Shannon.
Hey.
See you. If anybody's heading to the Free Flow convention in Florida beginning of next month, I will be there. It's events like this is why I'm trying to meet more, like, genuine, educators, people who are actually kind of passionate to trying to educate others, and to open myself up more to a wider variety of folks. I've been in this little small section of YouTube for quite some time, and not having the ability to visit people like Bill in real life has definitely been a missed opportunity for me. So I don't plan on continuing that particular mistake. So yeah, come grab a beer.
Well, I know me personally, I'm gonna very much miss Bill and everything that he represented, and I actually drank all of my beer, but Casey in the chat, a one cheers for Bill, and I guess this is, I don't know, maybe not goodbye, but or maybe it is goodbye, but we'll all miss you, Bill, and I guess we'll just keep on fighting the good fight. So that's gonna be it for us tonight. I appreciate everybody being here, and I guess we'll see you guys on in the week.